Muchísimas gracias, Belén. Muchísimas gracias una vez más a todos y enhorabuena a los participantes en la mesa anterior, que ha sido francamente interesante y que nos, de alguna manera, nos habéis alertado de lo que nos enfrentamos en las elecciones del próximo año. Así que muchísimas gracias a todos los participantes. Vamos directamente al grano, habida cuenta que vamos con unos minutos de retraso. Recordaba ayer Gonzalo, durante una mesa que tuvimos con Joaquín Almunia, que el año pasado la subgobernadora del Banco de España avisó que, a pesar de los altos datos de inflación y de la necesidad de subir los tipos de interés para luchar contra esa inflación, nos recordó que habían subido, si no me equivoco, 375 puntos básicos desde el año pasado que estábamos en esta misma sala. Hemos conseguido ese objetivo de evitar la inflación. Pero mi pregunta, y la pregunta que se hacen todos los ciudadanos, habida cuenta de que la mayoría tenemos una hipoteca, es ¿dónde estamos desde un punto de vista económico? ¿Hasta dónde se van a subir los tipos de interés y durante cuánto tiempo van a estar los tipos de interés? Burkhard, I was wondering that last year we were talking here together with the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Spain and Deputy Governor of the Bank of France that we will try to avoid a recession but fighting inflation. Since then, the interest rate has increased 375 basic points. Where are we from a macroeconomic? 400 now.
400 now.
Yeah, now 400.
Yeah.
Exactly. Where are we now? Until when we will be in this context? And obviously it's a difficult question. And for a macro perspective, where do you think are we? Because thank goodness we have avoided recessions, we have strong data yet, but what we'll expect in the upcoming months? I don't know who wants to start.
Well, thank you, Pablo. First of all, it's good to be back here in Pamplona, and as our friend already said, I have been here for the summer course in 2019, and it's really a pleasure to be back here in this wonderful city and this wonderful region, and especially with my colleague Margarita Delgado from the Banco de España. So, as you see, I haven't my glass bowl with me, and that means I can not give you a precise, of course, answer to your interesting question, Pablo. But to be honest, I think we have already made strict decisions, I would say, in the Euro system to fight inflation. 400 basis points in 1 year is historically with no other example in our currency union. We have seen that in the 70s, 80s in the US, but here in Europe, 400 basis points in such a short while among 1 year is with no example. And from my point of view, we are not fully at the end of our path, but we have to think about how the next steps should look like, and I'm pretty sure that Margarita and myself have here more or less the same view. What do I expect? I think the most important decisions have been already taken, and now we have to think about to rest for some while. If there will be other rate hikes in the very near future, we have to see. There's still lots of uncertainty because of so many different issues, but there's also still this war in Europe, the Russians against the Ukraine, which affects, of course, from my point of view, many other economic issues. Not only the fiscal spending, but also the price levels we do see. Well, fortunately, energy price levels went down again after the war started, but at the end, I would say there's still lots of uncertainty, so it's hard to predict what kind of measures are needed in the upcoming months or even years. So that's my answer to your question, Pablo, and I hope that Margarita could agree on that with me.
Well, first of all, thanks a lot to you, Pablo, and of course to Diario de Navarra for this very nice Curso de Verano, which is for me is my second time. And also thanks to the, to the whole entire team for the organization, which is really, really, really good. Yeah, I think that, during the last July decision of the ECB, where, if you remember, they agreed, the Governing Council agreed to raise only 25 basis points. I think it was very clear that the next decisions will be only data dependent. We don't have the crystal ball, as you said. So now the governors and the members of the executive board will have to take another decision in September. We don't know what will be, but of course it will be probably just it could be just a pause or a slight adjustment. Because, as you said, and you reminded us very, very, very well and very precisely, the path of the hikes of the interest rates has been already achieved. So those 400 basis points are already out there. So any kind of further adjustments, it will be just an additional adjustment or a pause. And of course, the policy makers and the decision makers will decide based on data. If I may, just one data that I would like to share with you. In the July projections, the inflation rate will be around just slightly above 2%, only in 2025. So we are now probably in a period in where the inflation will be, let's say, above our objectives, and probably the interest rates will be in a positive region. It is not, let's say, logically to think that the interest rates will come back very soon to the region of 0% or 1%. So let's see what happens. But I think that the executive board will, for sure, take the decision based on data in the coming weeks.
Thank you. Muchísimas gracias a ambos. No tenemos una bola de cristal. Vamos a cambiar de tema. Vamos al tema de pagos, en concreto al euro digital. No sé hasta qué punto están familiarizados con el euro digital. El Banco Central Europeo ha lanzado un proyecto al respecto. Hay una propuesta legislativa en el Parlamento Europeo que la Comisión lanzó recientemente. Y para hacer un breve resumen de lo que sería un euro digital, que muchas veces no lo sabemos concebir, es como tener una especie de monedero en el que esos fondos, en vez de estar en una tarjeta de crédito, en vez de estar en un banco, estarían depositados en el Banco Central Europeo con todo lo que conlleva. Mi primera cuestión, y doy la bienvenida también al director general de Bizum, Ángel Nigorra, que de alguna manera escenifica cómo España de alguna manera está a la cabeza de la digitalización de los medios de pago y la innovación en los medios de pago. Me gustaría saber de los tres, no sé el orden, lo dejo a vuestro criterio, aquí me abstengo como moderador, ¿qué fallos de mercado solucionaría el euro digital? I was explaining, Burkhard, somehow what is the digital euro project, and my first question is what market failures will be fixed by the digital euro. We are talking about cross-border payments, whether they are good enough or not. We are talking about the cost linked to payments, and especially cross-border payments, and also a lack of European payment service provider in a context where we are talking about strategic autonomy, and more precise, open strategic autonomy. ¿Qué fallos de mercado? ¿Quién empieza?
Yeah,
Burkhard.
Should I start? Okay.
Yes, by the way.
Well, we are here at the summer course, European summer courses in Navarra and Pamplona, so I would start with some remarks on sovereignty and efficiency. So far, there is no widely available digital payment solution for online payments as well as payments in stores in the euro area, in our currency zone, that offers like cash unique, especially user experience, which is operated on a European infrastructure. That's a very important point, and ultimately governed from within Europe. And of course, there is quite a lot of successful national champions in certain member states, and I would name Bizum as one of the top solutions. I can really tell you here, your Spanish solution, Bizum, is also seen from my side as one of the best I know in Europe. But there is no digital payment solution with pan-European reach made in Europe so far. So that is, in my point of view, absolutely necessary to remain competitive from a European perspective in the future. And the digital euro should not be considered, from my point of view, to put up walls around the European market and to promote protectionism. We want to offer additional choices to strengthen the competition and also to contribute, Pablo, to efficient payments in the digital age. All in all, the events in recent years have clearly shown that that dependencies also come with risks, and that alternatives and additional options are needed to ensure that our economy remains resilient. So that means when it comes to critical infrastructures, and for me, payments are definitely such a critical infrastructure that is indispensable for the functioning of our economy, not only here in Spain or the Eurozone, but globally. So for us as citizens, we are not only central bankers or doing businesses. For us as citizens, I think this should also lead in a higher degree of convenience, and of course for merchants, I know that some see that very critical for merchants in more favorable prices. The digital euro would be usable everywhere in Europe. That is an important point, both online and in shops. Person-to-person payments could be made in seconds, completely independent of platforms or devices. And the digital euro could, I always say could, be the first truly universal means of payment, so that in all payment situations, the citizens no longer have to think how to pay. That's why I'm really advertising, not only in Germany, also in other parts of Europe, for this digital euro project. I don't want to put the private businesses away. They are needed. They are really important. And from my point of view, the digital euro could also, or only, I have to admit, a success story in the future when we here partner up with the private businesses that already exist. So from my point of view, this should be a classical public-private partnership. And to sum up, from my point of view, we really have to think in that direction and to push for a digital version of the euro, because our core product, from the Banco de España, BundesBank, the ECB, the euro system as such, is cash, and of course is the euro. And our lives, daily lives, are getting more and more digitalized, and that means that we have to think about what this means for our core product, and this is our currency, the euro. And the logical answer to that question is definitely also that we should go digital with the euro. So that's my remarks.
Ángel, habla de colaboración público-privada, nuestro colega del BundesBank. ¿Cuál es tu perspectiva desde el ámbito privado sobre los fallos del mercado del euro digital y cómo para Bizum puede ser una oportunidad, una amenaza?
Bueno, en primer lugar, muchas gracias a la organización por contar con Bizum, y disculpad que lo haga en español, que intervenga en español a mis compañeros de mesa, pero creo que, creedme, es mejor para todos. Entonces, me gustaría empezar diciendo que yo creo que desde el punto de vista del servicio a los clientes, a los usuarios, a los consumidores, a todos nosotros, el mercado europeo es muy bueno. Y permitidme hacer un inciso que yo creo que en España en concreto el mercado español es uno de los más avanzados en cuanto a calidad de oferta y en cuanto a competitividad de oferta. Tarjetas, domiciliaciones, transferencias inmediatas, con Bizum también. Es decir, que desde ese punto de vista no tenemos tantas carencias. Yo casi me da vergüenza hablar del mercado de pagos en presencia de Burkhard y de Margarita, pero yo resumiría lo que ha dicho Burkhard en dos cosas, ¿no? Una es heterogeneidad. A pesar del esfuerzo de las autoridades europeas por regular y hacer estándares europeos, la realidad es que los mercados domésticos son muy diferentes, tanto en oferta como en comportamiento de la demanda. Desde ese punto de vista no cabe duda que el tener un euro digital puede ayudar y favorecer esa homogeneidad que es difícil y que se va consiguiendo, pero que llevará tiempo. Y en segundo lugar, yo creo que hay un tema de soberanía, ¿no? De soberanía europea. Ahora los pagos están en gran parte, y tengo por aquí un compañero Javier de Visa, pues una parte de esos pagos dependen de esquemas no europeos, Burkhard decía, en España tenemos, y en otros países, pero sobre todo en España tenemos Bizum, que es europeo, pero no ha habido esa extensión, la adopción que hemos tenido en España no se ha producido a nivel paneuropeo, y por lo tanto pienso que el euro digital es o debe ser una oportunidad para eso, en la medida en que el uso del efectivo se está reduciendo, y yo supongo que las autoridades necesitan una herramienta ante el riesgo de otras monedas digitales, de players globales que dominen ese mundo digital. Eso quizás es probablemente uno de los principales motivos. Y acabo, porque creo que tienen que ser respuestas más cortas, con lo de la colaboración. Yo creo que es muy importante, casi diría que imprescindible, todo ese objetivo del euro digital, de homogeneizar mercados, de favorecer o fomentar la soberanía europea, no se consigue si no hay adopción por parte de los usuarios del euro digital, si no se usa el euro digital. Y para eso creo que es fundamental esa colaboración público-privada y apoyarnos en los esquemas y en las soluciones que ya existen. Va a ser difícil explicar a la gente lo que es el euro digital, la diferencia con los euros comerciales, con los medios de pago digitales. Desde ese punto de vista, yo creo, no porque lo diga yo, porque se han pronunciado nuestros bancos, la banca española, yo creo que Bizum es una herramienta a disposición de la banca española precisamente para difundir el euro digital y, lo que es más importante, para permitir la convivencia entre el euro digital, los euros comerciales y los medios de pago actuales, que funcionan muy bien. Pues ser capaz de que eso funcione, conviva y que la gente lo entienda, creo que es una herramienta a disposición de la banca española, y por lo menos así lo estamos intentando. De hecho, yo creo que quizás hayáis escuchado, la banca española hizo una prueba de concepto, arrancó en noviembre, de preparación al euro digital, porque el euro digital, el proyecto es del Banco Central, por supuesto, y lo contempló así, aprovechando infraestructuras existentes, aprovechando la marca Bizum para presentar ambas opciones, ¿no? El euro digital y los medios de pago más que conocemos digitales actuales.
Gracias, Ángela, en absoluto. Margarita.
Well, of course, I'm the very last one, so I will add very little to the comments of my colleagues of the panel. But maybe just two comments. The first comment is that, your question was about how to fix the market inefficiencies in a way. There is a diversity, lack of homogeneity across the different countries. That is true, but maybe we need probably to really trust in our currency. And the digital payments are all across Europe in different ways, either credit cards or Bizum or other kind of payments. But that is a fact that the clients and society in general, we are using digital payments. So we need to anchor, let's say, our payments to our coin, to our euro. And for that, I think the project is really really important, and that will fix that question, because of course the financial system is underpinning on trust. I mean, if you lose the trust, you can lose and destroy in just with a snap. I mean, the confidence of the markets. That is one point. On the other question, it's, I mean, I think you already alluded to that, you both. It's the question of the, let's say, European, service providers for digital payments. I think we are now in a very competitive market, and we will have to compete with other CBDCs or stable coins. So we need our own coin, just for the sake of being having a more, let's say, strategic autonomy in terms of, Europe as a whole market. And we need really to promote.
There are more than 120 projects around the globe on CBDC. From other colleagues or central banks, sorry.
No, you're
just
right.
Wanted to add that. Yeah?
Thank you for your precise data. And finally, let me just, throw maybe a question. I'm a supervisor by nature, so the question is that, I mean, on the one hand, we have all the technology, all the processes that are now under very close scrutiny, and the proofs of concept and everything around. But of course, we also need to be very careful and very mindful of the potential risks to the financial stability. So the question here is that we need to really reinforce our commitment as public servants and public institutions that this will not really affect the financial stability of the financial system, which is really crucial and is working very, very well in Europe.
That was precisely my next question, how to avoid financial instability. Obviously, we have recently seen in the US with the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, that is not something given. After the financial crisis, there was a huge legislative work that I have the pleasure to work with Burkhard, and now we are not suffering the contagion we suffered at that time, but it's something is not given. How can we avoid any financial instability issue? Obviously, we all talk about a cap. What is the ideal cap for avoiding inestability? Estamos hablando de que, decía la subgobernadora, que hay que evitar la inestabilidad financiera, porque es evidente que si tenemos esos euros depositados en el Banco Central, están 100% garantizados, y por lo tanto habría una cierta tentación en caso de pánico bancario, y hemos visto diferentes eventos en Estados Unidos con el colapso del Silicon Valley Bank, cómo evitar que en un contexto de pánico bancario depositemos masivamente esos euros digitales en detrimento de nuestras cuentas corrientes, lo que puede desencadenar un episodio de pánico bancario. Para evitar eso, obviamente está el debate de establecer un límite a los euros digitales que podemos tener. Les preguntaba cuál es el límite, y será interesante también, Ángel, desde la perspectiva del sector privado, que nos des también esto. Burkhard, Margarita.
Well, Pablo, I think our banking and financial system is in Europe working quite well. That's my first point of my answer. And therefore, we would certainly minimize any potential threat a digital euro may pose to our financial system. Thus, the amount of digital euro that users can hold in their accounts should be limited to prevent the outflows out of bank deposits, even in times of crisis. And you have just mentioned the latest crisis when the Silicon Valley Bank broke down, and then it swapped over to the Credit Suisse in Switzerland, and also other banks were tested by the market, I would say. Even one of the German banks was tested. But that, by the way, is not a risk exclusively triggered by the discussions on a digital euro, I would like also to say, because we have seen in recent past that digital society and digital technology may lead now to very quick reactions if certain banks come under stress. But from my point of view, it's obvious that we should ensure the digital euro is really used as a payments means and not as a substitute for deposits. I think this is also crucial when we create such a digital version of the euro. In the legislative proposal of the European Commission, you find a general prohibition of interest for the digital euro and a provision that the European Central Bank shall develop instruments to limit the use of the digital euro as a store of value. And therefore the exact risk mitigation instruments and also their design will be further analyzed at the moment, as they would have to fit to the market environment of a possible introduction of a digital euro. My last point, I think we have to keep here in mind the trade-off we are facing here. Setting a limit too high could potentially endanger the stability of the financial system, and then on the other side, setting it too low, the digital euro would become unattractive from a user's perspective. So from my perspective, really it's important here to find the right balance, and I can assure you that we are hard working at the moment in the high-level task force of the ECB and the project itself to look like what the right balance could be in the end.
Thank you.
Well, yes, here the question is how to find the right balance between what is the, let's say, the real needs of the citizens and of course, I mean, the in order to avoid additional potential negative effects in the financial system. Totally agree. I mean, there is a magic number, I mean, floating around. I'm not going to mention it, but it will not be really, really big.
It was officially mentioned
okay,
in the Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee in the European Parliament.
3,000 euro limit.
So we could also mention it here.
You proposed.
Yeah, but
that brings me to my second question, which in a way I alluded earlier. Of course, this might impact the competitiveness of the banks. First, because this will have an impact on their liquidity, so less liquid deposits or liquidity in the deposits, and they will have to go to the markets for wholesale deposits. Secondly, this might impact, of course, the business model. I mean, there will be a different perception for payments, or even how to handle the asset and liability structure of the banks, or the interest rates, so on and so forth. So, I mean, there are several dimensions that might impact the business model of the banks. And finally, of course, I mean, this should be looked at as under the class of the financial stability, as I said, because, I mean, for some banks, this for sure will not have any impact at all, and for others might impact their profitability and their different structure of the P&L account, so profit and loss account. So we need to bear in mind all the different effects together with this magic number and the limit, and how will be the behavior of the European citizens, of course, because this will be offered to all European citizens, but there is no obligation to, of course, to use the wallet, of course, so it will be up to the people, to the persons to use it. But we need to bear in mind both sides of the coin.
Thank you, Margarita. Ángel, a ver si tú te mojas un poquito más en cuanto a la cantidad. Es verdad que tú eres más libre que los banqueros centrales, pero...
Pues voy a empezar diciendo que es que yo de inestabilidad financiera no tengo ni idea. Así es que así que voy a decir lo que escucho a nuestros bancos, ¿no? Y es que ante ese riesgo más vale ser prudente y empezar con un límite tendiendo a la baja, ¿eh? Si hablo desde el punto de vista de pagos, que cada vez también sé menos, pero todavía ahí puedo intentar hablar, ¿de acuerdo? No veo el límite tan importante desde el punto de vista de la adopción por parte de los usuarios, porque yo creo que el proyecto del euro digital tiene mecanismos de waterfall, de carga y descarga automáticos, que van a hacer eso relativamente transparente. Por lo tanto, creo que la adopción del euro digital nos la jugamos en la experiencia de usuario, en el valor que seamos capaces de transmitir a los clientes, etcétera, pero no en si el límite es más o menos alto. Y por lo tanto, lo que yo escucho a nuestros bancos es que más vale ser prudente y empezar con límites bajos por ese tema de inestabilidad financiera que, insisto, en el que no me quiero meter porque no domino. Me gustaría además añadir 2 o 3 datos de pagos también, ¿de acuerdo? ¿Qué es lo que llevamos de media los que estamos aquí en el bolsillo de efectivo? ¿50 euros? No, yo creo, aquí digo a lo mejor en general, porque aquí probablemente es una audiencia selectiva, ¿de acuerdo? ¿Vale? ¿Cuánto es el importe medio de una compra el importe medio, que hay otros, ¿no? Pero pues en una compra de una tienda 35 o 40 euros y si no hay un mecanismo de carga y descarga, es decir, que yo creo en pago entre particulares, por ejemplo en Bizum, pues el importe medio es de 40, 50 euros, con lo cual yo creo que, insisto, no sé de inestabilidad financiera, mis bancos dicen que mejora a la baja por ser prudentes, pero desde el punto de vista de pagos creo que el límite no va a ser lo determinante para el atractivo, porque afortunadamente el proyecto del euro digital tiene mecanismos para solucionarlo. No me he mojado, no puedo, porque si me mojo seguramente me echan, pero creo que tiene que ir a la baja.
What is the average, if I may, what is the average payment in Bizum? 40 euros?
En pago entre particulares, entre 40, 45, 50 euros dependiendo del mes. En comercio electrónico 60, 70 euros. Y ahora todavía no estamos en comercio presencial de forma general, pero en tarjetas ahora mismo es bastante bajo, está entre 35 o 40 euros, ¿no? Y está bajando bastante porque la tarjeta está entrando en pagos de pequeño valor que hasta ahora no estaba, ¿no? Ha favorecido también mucho por la pandemia, por cierto.
No puedo estar más de acuerdo contigo, Ángel. Yo creo que hay que ser prudente para evitar cualquier riesgo de inestabilidad financiera. Yo siempre digo que es muy fácil subir el cap, subir el límite, pero prácticamente imposible reducirlo, con lo cual yo creo que toda prudencia es poca, así que me alegro que Eva esté ahí impulsando la prudencia desde el Parlamento Europeo.
No sé si alguien luego me llamará a capítulo, pero de verdad que lo he dicho con transparencia, ¿de acuerdo?
Cuando pagamos en efectivo, y Burkhard ha insistido en que la idea es replicar el efectivo en euro digital, no hay huella, nadie sabe dónde pagamos, cuánto pagamos, ni nada. ¿Hasta qué punto el euro digital va a replicar el modelo del efectivo donde no se deja ninguna huella? Y en un contexto como Rosa Estarás nos recordaba, donde los datos es un factor de producción, donde los datos generan muchos beneficios y donde los ciudadanos no son muchas veces conscientes de cuál beneficio generan los datos que generamos, valga la redundancia. I'm talking about the balance between privacy and security. You have mentioned, Burkhard, that the ideal scenario is to replicate digital euro with cash, and when we pay with cash, nobody knows how much we pay, where we pay, and there is no proof. At what extent digital euro is going to be the same into account that the current payments with credit cards obviously generate many data. Is the digital euro going to be closer to cash, closer to credit cards? Do you want to start, Burkhard?
Well, that is, in my opinion, really one of the major challenges on which we have to work in the upcoming months. That is an extremely important, but also, as you could imagine, extremely complex issue. Private issues, privacy is, as we all know, an important feature, or one of the most important features of cash. And we know from public consultation, Margarita, that many people are caring about their privacy when paying, and it seems that this issue is of especially relevance in Germany, because more than half of the answers in this public consultation were about privacy, and then 60% of these answers came from Germany when the ECB made the public consultation for the digital euro. And at the same time, it seems also odd that they are in general quite sensitive but ready to pay with their data in exchange of certain, well, costless services in the internet. Because as we know, with other digital infrastructures, digital euro could be a potential target for cyber attacks. So moreover, digital solutions might also be used for fraudsters, and I'm quite sure that everyone here in the room knows someone who suffered from fraud, say in online banking. I think we all know people maybe who have been also directly affected by that. I would also like to highlight that we have asked for substantial investment in combating money laundering and terrorism financing, and those achievements, this is especially for me personally also an important point, should not be put here at any risk. So for us in the euro system, I would say the ambition must be clear. We have to guarantee the best possible level of protection while giving the users, so us as citizens of the Eurozone, opportunity to retain control over our data. So with the digital euro, data would not be exploited by intermediaries without the user's consent, and the technical design would make it impossible for the euro system, also an important issue, to trace transactions back to the identifiable user. And as part of the legislative proposal, I've already mentioned the European Commission's proposals, payments with enhanced privacy could also be enabled. This would particularly apply to the offline digital euro version, and in my opinion, this could be also quite beneficial. Last point I would like to mention, overall here the level of privacy introduced with the digital euro would be unprecedented for electronic payments. I think this is also worth to mention here. Again, also this point of privacy, all the matters around are crucial for the latest success of a digital euro, because many people, many citizens are quite familiar with the highest privacy on with their cash payments, and there won't be a full, of course, privacy at the end with a digital euro, because you have already mentioned data were created, but we have to ensure from a Eurosystem's perspective that these data are safe and secure in the end.
Thank you, Burkhard.
Well, not very much to add to Burkhard's comments. I think this is a fundamental premise of the digital euro, to minimize the processing of personal data by both the payment service providers and the national, let's say, central banks. And this will only happen to the extent necessary to ensure, I mean, of course, the proper functioning. So there will be, of course, personal data in exchange. Now currently in Bizum, we exchange our personal data. When you pay with a credit card, or even if you withdraw money with an ATM machine. There will be. The question is that we need to, of course, it is in the mind of the authorities to really preserve the privacy of the citizens, and I do know that in many countries, not in all the countries, but of course in Germany and in some other countries, citizens are pretty much aware of the question of the privacy. So of course anything that is electronic, is traceable, of course, but of course it is, and the objective of the authorities to really minimize. And the question that you mentioned of the offline payments is a very good example, and of course this offline experience really is the closest example of cash, because you are paying offline with your limit, within your limit, and it is similar to cash. But of course, I think we need to be confident on our privacy, and the privacy is really secured by authorities, but it's a very, very complex issue and very problematic issue for some citizens in Europe.
Ángel, thank you, Margarita.
Creo que no tengo nada nuevo que decir. Destacaría que el euro digital es digital, y como digital es rastreable como el resto de medios de pago, como Bizum. Creo que por lo pronto en la parte online casi es esencial. Yo creo que lo que tenemos que ser capaces como industria de trasladar es que eso es en beneficio de los usuarios. O sea, es para proteger a los usuarios. Por lo tanto es un valor, no es un inconveniente. Y creo que hay que interpretar la privacidad, que efectivamente es una preocupación en general y en determinados mercados, entenderla y como que no va a haber una cesión de datos personales a terceros. En Bizum eso tampoco pasa, es decir, los datos solo se quedan solo son usados y se quedan en el banco de cada uno, donde ya los ha dado sus consentimientos, ¿no? Entonces, creo que inciden esas dos patas. No hay cesión de datos personales a terceros, no debe haber sin consentimiento de los usuarios. Y que esa trazabilidad está a favor de proteger al consumidor, creo que son aspectos que hay que, como industria, hay que destacar. Y después favorecer el offline estaría para eso, ¿de acuerdo? Con límites más bajos, pero ahí sí que es más fácil evitar esa trazabilidad para los usuarios que quieran. El offline no está exento de retos, no está exento de retos porque recordemos, yo por lo menos puedo recordarlos, desgraciadamente, las experiencias de los años 90 con el monedero electrónico que no salieron adelante, yo creo por una de las causas por la dificultad de carga y descarga de eso, ¿no? Creo que ahora hemos mejorado, hemos aprendido, tenemos más tecnología y lo vamos a hacer mejor, vamos a hacer más sencillos esos mecanismos de carga y descarga. Perdona que quería... Margarita,
no. Totally agree with you. It's a very complex issue, and as Rosa mentioned, banks and bankers are sitting on let's say the jewels of the crown, because data, our data. If you look backwards, for how long have you had a current account with your bank? Maybe 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. So, they do have our data. They do know where we buy, where we spend the money. So, data are out there. And the question is, how to exploit the data, and they need to really organize the data to really take the most of it and use it in a very rational way. But anyway, beyond that, I think this is a question for us, but it's true that anything that is digital, it is traceable, and it is what it is.
Exactly. Llevamos fuera de tiempo. Una última pregunta y respuesta lo más rápido posible. One final question. We have been talking about strategic autonomy, open strategic autonomy. We have mentioned that there are more than 150 projects of CBDC, 120 projects of CBDC. Digital yuan, digital renminbi is possible to be used outside China. With all this, my question is, and we have international banks, especially in Spain, that most of the banks are really international. At what extent will be possible to use the digital euro outside the Eurozone? Estamos comentando que hemos hablado de estrategia autonómica, que hay más de 120 proyectos de divisas digitales alrededor del mundo, que la moneda digital china, que es una de las más avanzadas, es posible utilizarla fuera de las fronteras de China, y estamos en pleno proceso del diseño del euro digital. Tenemos bancos internacionales, en Europa y en España en particular. ¿Hasta qué punto el euro digital sería factible utilizarlo por clientes fuera de la Unión Europea? Y lo más breve and precise as possible, because we have 4 minutes left.
A very brief answer to your question, important question. As stated in the European Commission's legislative proposal, people, businesses and also public entities residing or established outside the euro area may access then the digital euro by opening digital euro accounts with payment service providers and or banks. This is the important thing here, which are of course located in a country of our currency zone. That means a country here in the 20 member states of the Eurozone. So this is one thing, and then I would like also to add that the European Union, of course, should also have then arrangements with third countries, the most important third countries, really also to sort this out and to put this also on a legal basis with other countries. So from my point of view, others should also invest or go into the digital euro area, not as a means of course, asset, only as a means of payment. There we should be open. You have already mentioned the single market, but we should definitely prioritize the euro area case for us, as the project is already quite complex, and we have also to follow here a staggered approach when implementing the digital euro. That's my brief answer to your question.
Very briefly, maybe we should start by really consolidating within intra-border our, let's say, 19 or 20 countries, right? First, and then let's explore the possibilities to really make retail payments through that might entail cross-currency conversion. So I would advocate for first, consolidating our project internally, and then explore through alliances or explore the mutual interests with other jurisdictions for the cross-border exchanges.
Thank you. Ángel, en un contexto en el que Bizum podría estar llamado a jugar un papel no solo en España, sino en la eurozona.
Yo voy a ahorrar segundos, no aporto nada más a lo que han dicho ellos. Solo quiero decir que a mí me parece que supongo que el euro digital es un proyecto a largo plazo, hay que abordarlo por fases. Me parece que lo prioritario es que funcione en Europa y en nuestros mercados.
Muchísimas gracias, ha quedado claro y coincides con la subgobernadora. Muchísimas gracias a los panelistas. Thank you very much indeed for once again being here with us. Ángel, you know the tradition. Once you are here, you come twice. So we are waiting for you next time.
Será un placer.
And I'm going to give the floor to voy a dar la palabra a Miguel García Eulate, director del área de Tesorería y de Mercado de Capitales de Caja Rural de Navarra, uno de los patrocinadores, para que nos haga unas conclusiones finales de este interesante debate que hemos tenido.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Pablo. En nombre de Caja Rural de Navarra y repitiendo un poco las palabras de nuestro presidente el día de la apertura, pues estamos muy orgullosos de ser patrocinadores de este evento y tenemos que agradecer al equipo de Fundación Diario Navarra, al equipo que está aquí trabajando también en la organización, al resto de patrocinadores y, por supuesto, a todos los asistentes y ponentes que habéis estado aquí. On behalf of Caja Rural de Navarra, we have to thank all of you, and specifically in this panel, Margarita, Burkhard, Ángel, and of course Pablo, which is the alma mater of these Cursos Europeos de Verano. I think that I will try to be very brief, and I will try to sum up what has been said in this panel, and also I will try to add up a pinch of salt with the point of view of a retail European bank based on Navarra, and I will try to give some views on both the monetary policy and the digital euro on that. So I think that regarding monetary policy, we all agree or have agreed that we have been through unprecedented times, unprecedented easing, and due to several, the risk of deflation first, then the pandemic, and then unprecedented tightening of monetary financial conditions because of the broad of inflation around us. And I think that we all agree that it seems that we are, I wouldn't say at the peak of interest rates, but we are approaching that peak because we are data dependent and the data are improving, even though the inflation is not yet in line with the ECB's mandate, but it is on that trend. And I think that we are take comfort on that. I think that seen from the financial sector, we of course are the ones who transmit the monetary policy into the real economy, the real life of citizens, to the families and SMEs, and we do so. We know that tightening, the tightening comes in volumes because the balance sheet of the ECB is being reduced, and tightening comes in terms of increasing rates. And increasing rates is hurting the real economy, and we are well aware of that, and we know that, and we understand that point. We think and seen from our experience on the road that that this will not be painless, and it is created some pain, but at least taking into account the perspective, the Spanish perspective, what we see is that the level of indebtedness, the leverage of this private sector in Spain, and by private I mean SMEs, I mean families, and I will include also the financial sector itself. The level of leverage has been reduced hugely from the last financial crisis, and what we see in our clients is a good resilience to the increase in rates. Of course, recession, the R word is mentioned more and more, and I said before that this won't be painless, and so we have to be very careful and very prudent, but for the time being, I think that the policy, the monetary policy has worked and has been well transmitted to the real economy. So let's hope on that, we are approaching the end. By the way, today at 9 p.m., if you don't have anything better to do, you can hear Madame Lagarde's speech in Wyoming in Jackson Hole. Someone told me that we are in the Navarrese Jackson Hole today, so that is a kind of Jackson Hole, but there is the real one in Wyoming, and you can hear to Madame Lagarde. So that's for the monetary policy. And very briefly, let me go to the digital euro, which I think is a great experience. And I think that the consensus from the panel would be that the digital euro first, from this classical definition of money, that money is a means of payment, money is a unit of account, and money is a store of value. The digital euro is focusing on the means of payment future, and that's something we have to understand. It's not intended to be a new way of saving money or investing money. It is a payment itself. I would sum up what has been said in two different ways. The first one is the usability or the consumer perspective. And from the consumer perspective, I think that the digital euro can solve some not yet available services, such as probably offline services or kind of homogeneity within the European Union, cross-border payments and the like. And then there would be this attainable level of service which is not yet attained. But thanks to private solutions, I think that private solutions, for example in Spain, are not 100% of what can be attained, but not that far away. So I think there's a challenge to explain to customers why the digital euro, or how can really improve their lives. And I think there's a kind of skepticism among the citizenry, not only because of privacy matters, but because of why do I need this for? Whether the digital euro becomes a solution in search of a problem, and that is a problem in itself. However, I think that there is another dimension, which is the strategic autonomy of Europe. It is the need to have a proper European payment systems which are robust. And I think this is a legitimate end, but I think it should be better explained. So if we really, I know that the European Union is not just an economic project, it's a political project. So if there is a kind of political willingness to make the digital euro a success, I think it's very important that it is explained as such. And then to end up, seen from a retail bank, again, we are very much involved in payments. Payments are vital for a retail bank as us, and we, through the European Association of Cooperative Banks, are really participated into the consultations. We are willing to help this be a success, and I think that success will be dependent, as I said before, on creating something which is really attractive to the citizens, at the same time serves to promote this strategic autonomy and political will of Europe, and does not create a lot of troubles to existing solutions and to the financial sector, because this will come at a cost, that this won't be easy, and I think that we banks need to be involved from the beginning, as we have been, and remain attached to the project to make this a success. So, thank you to all of you for attending. Thanks to the panel participants. And in the name of, on behalf of Caja de Navarra, again, thanks for being here. Thank you. Muchas gracias.